Joining us now to discuss this further is Deirdre McKay, who's a Professor of Sustainable Development at Keele University in the UK. Welcome to the programme. Thanks for coming on. So two big deals are making headlines coming out of COP26, deforestation and methane. Now, behind these glitzy, shining announcements, what are the details that concern you?
Well, implementation. I think you could repeat that endlessly. What are the actual sanctions in place for countries that don't live up to the commitments they make? It's not just a worry that the NDCs haven't been forthcoming from certain key nations. It's a worry that there aren't mechanisms in place to sanction nations that fail to meet their NDCs. The other issues there are just proportionality. Methane is a relatively small contribution to climate change as compared to carbon dioxide emissions. So great to see some action, but not the main game.
I could speak endlessly and ask you more about not committing to, having sanctions if there are no commitments. But I want to ask you now about how this summit moves on, because today the focus is finance. Do you think there is enough money and enough will to pump into these climate commitments?
I'm not sure you could have enough money or enough will. You could certainly have more. I think we'll have announcements today on some very practical steps forward for the Global South, and I'm waiting for those to see the detail. That's definitely been trailed. But what I really think is key for this summit is actually what's happening off-site, back in countries around the world, where the swell of public support is showing elected leaders that there's public appetite to make and support change. Because our politicians won't move forward until they know they've got popular support. So in some ways, the festival atmosphere in Glasgow is great, but it's also a sideshow. The real work starts now in trying to drive those commitments forward year on year and make sure that the finance targets are met.
And I like that point you make about the public commitment. But surely, these are things, not to use that word, climate catastrophes that we've seen. It's everywhere. I mean, even here in Turkey, we had a terrible summer with forest fires. Nearly every country is hit by it. It's something that we see in our daily lives now. Surely there is that pressure from below now.
Well, we have to amplify that and direct it in practical ways, because a lot of people are very concerned about biodiversity loss, about forest fires, about flooding, but they don't necessarily connect that to the car that they're driving or that they aspire to, or to the way that they're heating or cooling their residence. So we really need some practical measures that are going to drive down our use of fossil fuels. We've got to ban coal mining globally. We've got to make sure that we follow through on that smart green energy transition, that our renewables are actually going to be cheaper to use than any fossil fuel source.
Deirdre McKay, great to have you on the programme. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.